very backlit. I love it. You can go from like.
Okay, I am not here for anybody's entertainment. That's a stolen quote from Ron Taylor. Kate is on the line. So is Katie Mullins. And Noam, I'm going to give you your 10 minutes of stuff, and then we're going to do the anti-podcast, because that's apparently what we do now. Also, hard stop at 1 p.m., because, like, who needs a Joe Rogan experience? There's only one of those. I want to talk about, just real quick, the top 25 players in the 2021 recruiting cycle re-ranked, because I think it's interesting as the 247 Sports Composite was updated in the middle of the week last week, because we had the Rivals 250 drop, and we saw, like, lots of commitments. Like, it was like Commitment Friday. Speaking of which, Colin Oliver gets my Miles Slusher Award for 2021 as he is the best player in the state of Oklahoma not to receive an offer from the University of Oklahoma, which I don't really understand. 6'2", 220 pounds, out of Edmond, Santa Fe. He's a great inside linebacker. He committed to Oklahoma State 1 year exactly to the date for which they offered him. Good on him. I don't know why Oklahoma hasn't gotten involved, but I'm sure that they will. Also, you probably know by this point that 4-star, 5-star in the ESPN rankings, Mario Williams chose Oklahoma coming out of Plant City. He's a two-sport athlete, plays for the Raiders, which is awesome. Can probably play baseball and football at the next level. I expect him to do that. He's got legitimate 4.4 speed. He's got terrific hands. They also picked up edge rusher, 6'4", 220-pound Clayton Smith. He of the Reggie Cleveland All-Stars, coming out of Texarkana, Texas. When they need a bucket, they split him out wide, put him on the numbers, and say, go get it, big fella. And when he's not doing that, he is in a 4'9", coming off the edge. He is bigger than any running back you're going to try to use to chip him, and he is faster turning the corner on any offensive tackle you want to put in front of him. Alex Grinch has a clear prototype that he wants for his outside linebacker rush in type. It is 6'4" across the board. Reggie Grimes is 6'4". Joseph Wette is 6'4". David Ugwebu is 6'4". And now Clayton Smith in this 2021 class, for which there are 7 commits in Oklahoma's recruiting class inside the top 25 at number 24, is 6'4". Now, re-ranking of the top 25 players according to, the 247 Sports Composite, and then taking a look at, who some of these dudes are and where they're committed or might end up being committed. I did this big thing about Emeka Egbuka. You can go check that out on the channel. We got Will Shipley at number 25, committed to Clemson. White Chocolate in the house, Weddington, North Carolina. My man got 2,000 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving. He is a monster in the open field. I think the comp to him in the recruiting ranks is probably a Jake Smith. Came out of Arizona. He's going to Texas. I expect him to start in the slot now that Devin Duvernay is a Baltimore Raven. Jatavian Sanders, athlete out of Denton, Texas, committed to Texas. JaQuincy McKinstry, all-namer, Pinson, Alabama. He's committed to, we'll see, right? Donovan Jackson out of Bel Air, Texas, committed to Ohio State. He is one half of an offensive tackle group that includes Colin Montgomery. So if you're playing against Episcopal in Bel Air, Texas, on one side you have the kid that's committed to Ohio State. On the other side you have the kid that's committed to Oklahoma. And good luck to you, sir, trying to edge off that. Then at number 21, Dillon Brooks, the top recruit, second top to recruit, second 5-star in the Tennessee class, coming out of Roanoke, Alabama. I'm not sure if that's going to stick, but if it does, good on Jeremy Pruitt. Mason Smith, defensive tackle out of Houma, Louisiana. We'll see. He's in a package deal with Corey Foreman, so that's going to be interesting as somebody's going to get the number 1 player in the 247 Sports Composite and one of the best defensive tackles all on the same team. Could be Georgia, could be LSU, could be USC. Definitely not going to be Clemson because they have not offered Mason Smith. Travion Henderson coming out of Hopewell, Virginia, committed to Ohio State in March. Part of a run for Ohio State in which they are trying to challenge for the best recruiting class in the history of recruiting classes. I really, really love his game. Damon Payne coming out of Bellevue, Michigan. We'll see if Michigan can actually get in there, but Michigan has been a laughingstock, particularly because Jim Harbaugh decided to insert his thoughts about pro-life versus pro-choice into COVID-19, and then comes up with his pro-NFL draft memo looking very Jerry Maguire, the Jerry Maguire that got fired, not the Jerry Maguire that signed Rod Tidwell because, Jim Harbaugh ain't got the juice like that. Kamara Wheaton coming out of Garland, Texas. 50% of crystal ball show him going to Oklahoma, but SMU is very much in the mix, and they could end up with not just him, but Savion Byrd and Preston Stone. We'll see how that goes. J.C. Latham coming out of IMG Academy, one of the top offensive tackles in the country. Could be going to Oklahoma, could be going to Ohio State. We'll see. Carries 285 pounds like it's 265 pounds. He's got tremendous bend. He's a dancing bear, and I love it. J.J. McCarthy coming out of LaGrange, Illinois. We'll see what happens with him. I mean, Michigan, we think, but, I'm not really going to pull for the kid in that way because I just haven't seen it yet. Nolan Rucci, top offensive tackle coming out of Latitz. That's right, Latitz, Pennsylvania. We'll see if Penn State ends up pulling him, but if they don't, it'd be Clemson. Tristan Lee had dropped a top list, and Clemson seems to be way ahead there. Another great offensive tackle in this class. Brock Vandegrift, you know who he is. He's committed to Georgia, was once committed to Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma might actually be able to trade up from a 5-star to a better 5-star. That's a flex. That's a dominant flex. James Williams coming out of Apopka, Florida. They can't spell it right on this particular thing, but top safety. And Terrence Lewis coming out of Apopka, Florida, right? Top outside linebacker, 5-star recruit, committed to Tennessee. We'll see if that sticks. Sam Huard. We haven't talked enough about Sam Huard and what he could be and how Emeka Egbuka and he could perform as a dynamic duo for Washington if Egbuka ended up picking his home state, Washington Huskies. But the effortless release, the no wasted motion, he's going to be a pretty good prospect. Might even be a first-round pick when it's all said and done. Of course, Egbuka, number 8 on this list. He's still considering Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, and Washington. Watch the video for more about him. He could play college baseball at the next level as well. Tremendous awareness and 4.4 speed. Tony Grimes coming out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Tidewater in the house. Ohio State, Vatech. We'll see where it ends up. I like his tackling. I like his tremendous IQ on the field, or not even IQ, intellect. Amarius Mims coming out of Cochran, Georgia. Again, another dude that Georgia hopes to get. We'll see. Caleb Williams, 24 crystal balls. 24 crystal balls showing Oklahoma. Matter of time is what many people think. Really outstanding player, that like the top-rated quarterback of the last 10 years coming out of the Mid-Atlantic region. Lincoln Riley would be lucky to get him. Tommy Brockmeyer, also coming out of Fort Worth, Texas. Maybe Texas is in there. Maybe Georgia's in there. We'll see how it figures out. Jack Sawyer's been committed to Ohio State for a very long time. Coming out of Pickering, Ohio, one of the top players in this 247 sports composite. And yeah, he is the heir apparent to the Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa crown that was once run by Jace Young. Now, JT Tuimoloau is coming out of Washington as well. He's considering Ohio State, Washington, a couple other places. Alabama's in there. Ohio State is what we think until further notice. And then Corey Foreman. Corey Foreman made waves earlier last month when he reopened his recruitment after decommitting from Clemson, wanting to take trips. We know that Dabo Swinney has a no-trip policy. USC seems to be the leader in the clubhouse as they have a former teammate of his, and Drake Jackson is probably going to show out. They have a tight bond with him in the Los Angeles area, but you really need Clay Helton to show out this year and keep his job. I'm not sure that that's what's going to happen, but if it can, I think Corey Foreman can not only end up there, but also be with Mason Smith. So that's a very quick rundown of the top 25 recruits in the 2021 cycle. I'll have more to say about it later, but now I want to hard pivot to the most lopsided prenuptial agreement in the history of prenuptial agreements. So I really need y'all to hear this one, because my man Allen Iverson was not. He didn't make a good decision. So I read Not a Game, y'all, and it's an excellent, Frank Sinatra has a cold style reporting book about Allen Iverson. And it really gets into the deep, dark passages of Allen Iverson, who was a horrible father, even worse husband. But I got to ask, would any of y'all sign an agreement for which you have to sign over your $32 million trust if you have any of these triggering events in your marriage? Cheating on your wife, threatening your wife, threatening your children. Also, with that $32 million, an additional $100,000 in separate trust for each of your 5 kids. And then 50% of any money that you earn after the divorce is finalized. That's a post-nuptial and a half. And Allen Iverson signed that joint. And Allen Iverson is divorced. Allen Iverson turns 44 on June 6th. And the money that Reebok had tried to set aside for his lifetime contract, where they put $32 million of his $40 million into a trust and said you can't touch it till he's 55. Now all that money belongs to his ex-wife, Tawana. And yeah, he is not in a good place. Probably an alcoholic.
If it was,
Go ahead.
I was about to ask if it was like the trust was 32 million, like if that was the whole trust or like half the trust, that's that's a lack of self-awareness. Uh, Signing something like that seems on multiple levels unfortunate. Like from just a like from his standpoint, of course, no, not sign that. But also, I guess good that he lost the money for being bad. I don't know. I don't know much about him. Tell me
Uh,
about him.
I mean, Allen Iverson hit all the basketball cliches there are to hit. Left Georgetown early without the degree. Uh, you know, first round pick, first number one pick. Wanted to be a rapper. Cut the album. David Stern didn't like the album. Killed the album. Horrible with money. Horrible with his ex-wife. Children out of wedlock. Then he wants to get married. She's like, I don't care if we get married. Well, if we're going to get married, then let's get married. And then after years of abuse, she's like, you know what? I'm done. She moves out. He wants it back and is continuing to get in it back. Says, hey, you got to give me all your money if you mess up again. That's going to be my guarantee. And he signed that joint. But more than that, I forgot that the man was in the Newport City farm system for 4 months during his senior year of high school. For those of you that don't know, that is prison for his role in the circle lanes, where he was going to do 5 years. And then the governor of Virginia had to step in and kind of sort of pardon him, but not really, saying, okay, you do your 4 months and now you're on parole and you can't play basketball for the next 6 months. So what he ended up doing was having to go to alternative school to get his GED. And one of the things I do love about it is that Michael Jordan, Spike Lee, and Bill Cosby came up with the money for this highfalutin alternative school so he could graduate. And then the only place that was still recruiting him to play basketball was Georgetown. So he ends up signing with Georgetown, shows up to Georgetown 2 weeks after he gets released from prison, goes into a summer league all-star game that features former pros, current pros, and guys in college, and drops 40. Without ever having touched a basketball. Also, one of those dudes that would have made you very, very mad because his diet was garbage, but he would show up and run 4-minute miles because he just had it like that when he was a kid. I also really love this story. David Falk was his agent. David Falk was also Michael Jordan's agent. David Falk was in Philadelphia because Michael Jordan's team was playing Allen Iverson's team in Philadelphia, and he wanted both of them to meet with the president of FTD, the floral company. So he told Mike and Allen Iverson in separate meals, y'all can pick wherever you want to go, and I got it. So Mike obviously picks the highfalutin striped bass, where the three of them ate for $3,500. Okay? Allen Iverson, he asked the same thing, said, where you want to go? He said, I can go anywhere. Say, yeah, man, anywhere you want to go in Philly, I don't care. Can we go to Fridays? Yeah, we can go to Fridays. You want to go to Friday? Okay. And can we bring my moms and my friends so they don't feel left out? Yeah, by all means, dog, bring them Fridays. And that entire meal with 9 of Iverson's folks with Falk and him cost less than $300. That's who Allen Iverson is. Allen Iverson is every single cliche. Like man goes to Istanbul and is mad as hell. 1, because they don't allow gambling. And 2, because he can't find a decent plate of chicken fingers.
Mm. Well, you're right. That was just a whole lot of check marks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd say Allen Iverson created a whole new cliche. Like, he is the Seinfeld's not funny because everybody that came after it is owes what they are to him.
Mm.
So yeah, if you think of pretty much just every type of in trouble clique of basketball players from 1996 to now, it's like, yeah, no, they're all Allen Iverson's children.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of his tree.
Yeah, man. Didn't nobody wear braids until he wore braids. Nah.
So trendsetter, just not in the good way.
He
whoa, Tyler, how do you feel about braids? Let's walk that out.
Oh, I don't.
Braids are bad. Braids. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Were we talking about braids this entire time? Dang it,
Ron, are you punchy? Are you punchy, Ron?
I've been up for a while.
All I got to say is braids don't look good on me. That's actually it, I think. Because my hair's too short.
I mean,
It looks ridiculous braiding 3 hairs.
Yeah, man. This
Like as far as like to the original thing you brought up with the 32 mil in the trust and the what was it, prenuptials or postnuptials?
Postnuptial.
Okay.
He lit the prenup on fire that he tried to get it. His lawyer's like, hey, have to want to sign this. And he set a match to it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess if you have good lawyers, you know, you don't want your client to be upside down. But it almost feels like Allen Iverson never understood the value of money in the first place, or
No,
the idea that
he thought he would always have it. I think is the word.
that's what I'm saying. Is that if you're Allen Iverson way back in the day, you're thinking, I got Reebok, I got the NBA, I'm pretty good, I'm pretty marketable. I got all these brands lining up to have me put my name on their stuff. It's going to be good for a long time. And if you look at it just as like his career earnings just in basketball, it's like, okay, yeah, this is about to pan out. And then after he leaves basketball, it's like, hey, top 10 basketball players you wouldn't believe are broke. I'm like, how, AI?
$151 million over the course of 11 years.
Oh.
That's just salary. That's just basketball salary. And he made more money in endorsements, you know? Probably pushing around 250.
That's just the playing contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was before they put like rookie scales in and stuff. This was back when like Glenn Robinson signed a 10-year, $67.5 million contract as a rookie.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, speaking of Mullins. Mullins. Can I brag?
Yeah.
Can I brag? Is that cool?
Yeah.
So Mullins has a essay in Brevities in this month's journal, right? Of Brevity. And it's fantastic. It's awesome. And Brevity is a tremendously hard creative nonfiction magazine to get into. I've been rejected no less than 14 times. I counted before I got on this podcast. And her piece in it is nah, man, it's really good. I had a question. Why numbers?
That's a good question, and I don't have a good answer for you, except that I feel like, I don't know. I chose the number because I felt like it's such a, first of all, it's such a tense topic. If you haven't read it, this comes with just like a warning that like be in a good place before you read. Actually, be in a good place before you read most of this month's issue of Brevity.
Mm-hmm.
It is not pandemic.
Every month's issue of Brevity.
Yeah, it's a rough read. I mean, the other essays in there also have a lot of like pretty intense thematic content that, yeah, it's a tough read. But for mine in particular, I felt like I originally just had it segmented, and I didn't like the lack of structure that had. It felt like because it's such a tough topic and because it's such a intense topic to try to give any kind of structure or reason to, that somehow like giving it almost like steps of moving through gave it a form that I felt was helpful to the piece. I don't have any like, there's no like, oh well 10 is a symbolic, like no, I picked 10 because we live at a 10, so like it's a round even number, but really I just numbered it to give the piece a little more grounding and structure than I felt like leaving empty segments had.
A couple of the comments on this piece are breathtaking. I'm in awe, Katie. This is so powerful and beautifully written. This piece is tragically beautiful. The numbering form gives the sense of needing to reestablish order and control, effective, poignant. And I know at least one of these people personally in the comments, and she runs a creative writing program. So there may be some scouting there. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there.
You're famous.
Yes, she is.
Again, because I've said that before. You're famous again.
Yeah, man. Nah, really good stuff, man. So if you haven't read it, you need to read it, and I'm gonna drop it into the chat at some point. Just for whatever reason, my iMac does not really cooperate with the group text because there's green people in it. Yeah.
Trust me, I can't stand it. If I could toss them out, I would.
I just, it's like, man, Why?
I'm also going to hop in here to say that there's some other really good, if you're interested in just short nonfiction, there are a couple others in here, specifically His Apple Pie, Your Personal Prescription Information, and A Knot on the Finger that I just heard are incredible pieces. They're all really different, but they all deal with just like, it's just the authors in this issue are just incredible. So if you have not read other essays, go read those also. They're great.
Just from those titles alone, I imagine that I'm going to be destroyed after I
yeah,
finish
no,
these.
those.
Yeah, too long, didn't read. Just,
750 words.
Hey, don't tell them that. Nah, is it a tweet? Is it a tweet?
I don't even read extended tweets anymore. No.
It's like 280 characters is asking a lot here, boss. No, and I've read 2 books this week. I'm on to a third, and then there was this really good eviscerating take from Howard Bryant in Full Dissidence that basically supported the idea that if you want change, get out into the street and use the Oklahoma teachers walkout as an example of they got a pay increase, y'all, as opposed to the country we live in, which is very much against labor, and I hate it. And I just came on to the Supreme Court ruling that has basically made unions, obsolete altogether. And the idea that you could use class action suits to sue a corporation is also going by the wayside. And that made me very, very sad because I didn't know that.
Also, I just want to say that the Oklahoma teachers walkout was not nearly as successful as it was publicized to be. Both in terms of the gains that were made, if you look at the amount that Oklahoma Public Schools has lost, which adjusted for inflation over the past 10 years is about $170 million. A $50 million win doesn't even replace what's been lost. And the state budget cut another $20 million last year and $20 million this year, so it's basically gone anyway. So all that to say that unfortunately it's not even that great of a success story because it was very short-lived.
So what you say there just needs to be another one, like just one every year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's what I got out of that too, Tyler.
Yeah. This is the same thing across the way of just any sort of like we're just going to keep bringing this bill up every year until it maybe or cutting or stuff like that, like the FCC regulations or trying to like clip internet freedoms. It's like we're just going to keep bringing up this bill every single year until someday it doesn't get noticed. It's like got to fight it every year. Budget cuts, got to fight them every year. It's like.
Yeah, well, now we're in a real new normal across the board. Like, I'm really giving this some thought. Because if you got a little bit of money, now you're just trying to get a stranglehold in whatever market you're in. If you don't, you're totally screwed. But you were probably totally screwed to begin with. You're just a different kind of screwed now.
Right.
So I'm interested to see where that conversation ends because... like right now in my world of sports, Major League Baseball is trying to talk the players into a 50-50 split on revenue by saying we're all losing money, right? So Major League Baseball expects to lose about $4 billion this year in an industry that makes about 15, right? 10 to 15, depending on who you want to count and what you think of ticket sales and local TV distribution. But Major League Baseball Players Association has been the strongest union of any professional sports league, like, ever. And the players have always had a very strong backbone about, no, this looks like a salary cap. We don't do salary caps. No. And they're like, well, you need to play for the good of the country. It's like, do I? Do I? So now with Major League Baseball owners claiming that they are, I kid you not, poor, watching how Major League Baseball players are taking this is going, no, you're not. And yet the conversation around them is, shut up and play, millionaire. To which I have mixed feelings about all of this. But I can look at that across the board because I feel that way about healthcare system. I feel that way about public utility. Like I'm still marvel at how, has anybody experienced choking with their internet at all during this time?
You mean like throttling?
Yeah, there you go.
No, actually, it's never been faster.
Yeah. So like,
It's a weird Kafka-esque style situation.
what
world's ending.
Yeah, what
The
lives do
internet
we have?
couldn't be faster.
Yeah.
There would be riots.
Another one.
Maybe I hope there would be riots.
Oh
There would
well,
not be.
I would hope there would be some level.
That's why the internet is so fast. They keep us from rioting by like, keeping us happy at home.
Ooh, I like that theory.
Don't you dare take away my Netflix.
Exactly. Yeah. If they throttled Netflix during this crisis time and other streaming services, there would be angry people asking to speak to managers on customer support lines, and I don't know what else after that. Maybe that's the modern version of rioting. Everybody just calling to speak to the manager.
Throttling their phone lines.
Right.
Whatever you got to do, man. Whatever you got to do. Like I don't know how I should be interpreting a lot of these things because it's a very weird time too because reopening everywhere, regardless of whatever. But then some of this I'm like, I'm surprised. No, I'm not. And by the way, we had the highest paid state employee in the state of Oklahoma say, why on earth would we bring college football players back on June 1st? That is the most ridiculous thing that I have heard throughout all of this. And to say that in this state,
paid one.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah. No, I mean like way up there saying, why would we do that?
Yes, okay. Yes, I find that to be really heartening. But I'm also like, yo, man, that's not how your state feels. Like you're over here standing with me and like the brunch group and only us. So like,
I mean, we did just try to pass legislation to quash those uppity mayors of major metropolitan areas trying to make their own health decisions.
While also courting this dude, Elon Musk. I'm going, huh? GT, make up your mind. Make up your mind.
How many weird nerds do we got in chat here to put up the shield for Elon Musk?
Oh, I'm sure that somebody's going to come out here with a Tony
Shout out
Stark
to
reference.
y'all.
Can we just talk about how weird his last name is for just 1 second?
He's South African.
I've been wanting to talk about that for a long time. Like Musk.
Keep saying it.
Musk. Can I say it in different ways? Musk.
It'll only get less weird the more you say it.
No. Does anybody know a first name Elon?
Nope.
Okay.
I do, but in like Israel, and it's spelled slightly differently.
So no.
It's like before that.
I think
only time I knew Elon was
may have
he got
met
game.
an Austrian dude. But I think he was half Turkish.
Yeah, man. I kept going. Why are we talking about the campus where he got game was set? And it's like, nah, that's that dude's name. What? Also, I read what's Ashley Vance's biography of Elon Musk. It's worthwhile, but I wonder if he would like cringe now at some of the stuff that he'd written about that dude. Because, it's almost like having written a biography of Bill Cosby circa 2001. It ain't the same book.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Did anybody else have like a turnaround Elon Musk where they thought that this dude might be a boon for all of society?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
top to bottom?
Yes.
And then there was this
Cognizant
and it changed.
dissonance.
What was that point?
The transparency of safety corners, safety procedures being cut in pretty much all Tesla things. Like just when I first learned that, it's like the bleeding edge. Like there's casualties in the bleeding edge of like literally rocket science. But corner cutting should not be ever on the list of why somebody died or why somebody got hurt for me. And that's where it was. That's where it lost it on there. It's like, okay, bleeding edge, visionary stuff like that, and then it's like, oh yeah, and trying to cut all these corners in safety regulations and anti-unionizing, basically anti-labor. That all kind of hit out at the same time, and that was where I was like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, reading about what goes into the making of things at SpaceX. It's not unlike how Bezos is getting hammered, even as, his stock has gone up 300%. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to rule the world, so hammer away. It's like,
Right.
Cool. You're telling me I'm a bad person. Did that Prime shipment get there? Good for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good stuff.
Can't help but notice that you got that dried jackfruit at Whole Foods.
Right.
You're not talking trash now, are you?
Yeah. That's where it is.
Oh, you watch Netflix, huh? Guess who makes that run? That's right, it's me, Jeff Bezos.
By the way, he secured the rights to live stream Thursday Night Football. So he's he's getting it in. He's getting it in. Still left the Washington Post alone for the time being, though, so I'm excited about that.
Isn't he about to be like the world's first trillionaire?
Yeah, and the tweet is, "What's a trillionaire? I will kill you." Like it was, there was no punctuation there. It was like not even a breath of, "Hey, don't even joke about this. Don't give me back your response. I'm straight to maim and murder. Like, don't even." What does the world need with trillionaires?
We already didn't need billionaires.
Couldn't he solve world hunger like 2 times over and still be one of the richest people on the planet?
Again,
I don't know, guys. Maybe it's like a horseshoe. Like maybe it starts off good, and then like the bottom point of the horseshoe is a billionaire, and like that's where it's bad. But once you get to a trillionaire, maybe it comes back to being good again.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for all those billionaires who don't have enough money out there.
Oh yeah, it's just they're missing a whole decimal place.
They're now second-class citizens.
Buh.
Wait, so if Elon Musk ends up as a trillionaire, does that put billionaires back to the 99%?
Isn't being a trillionaire like actually really bad for the economy and possibly a threat to national sovereignty? Like, doesn't it just kind of mess with the basic economic premise that the velocity of the dollar increasing is good for the economy? And so if one person has $1 trillion, they're probably slowing down that flow, and it affects like everybody.
That's what all economists that aren't paid shills are trying to tell us.
Your facts mean nothing to my feelings, Norm.
I think it depends on how you get $1 trillion. Because let's say that Jeff Bezos instead
Wait.
of
How the hell do you think you get $1 trillion without being bloodthirsty pirate?
let's say that you're the sole proprietor of all of the cocaine in the world. You've been that for a while. And you're not, say, a tech magnate.
I'm thinking
Maybe-
back to that.
maybe things are different.
quote that
Hey, guys,
behind
I'm just
every
spitballing.
fortune is a crime.
Say it again.
Do you know that Henri Balzac quote? Behind every great fortune, there's a crime.
Oh, I didn't.
I do now.
Checks out.
Yeah, Bath checks out.
I'm not gonna fact check it, but I know it's true.
Thanks, Bill Maher.
See, I was not gonna put that out, but you did anyway.
I took him for the team.
No. He's trash. Trash. You want to talk about? I mean, he is that quote. He is that quote. Just the liberal heroes are trash. Keith Olbermann doesn't have a show. Mark Maron, my God, we have to listen to 12 minutes of profane rant before we can get into him asking an intelligent question. Just trash.
Okay, Dad.
Hey, speaking of Dad, Only 2 of us have finished *Halt and Catch Fire*, and now you have to deal with whatever it is I say about it.
Okay, fine.
Oh, speaking of dads, I heard you got harassed by a old man in Billy Sims yesterday.
Wearing a mask!
He was wearing a mask.
Wearing a mask! Right?
Wearing a mask like a hero and a coward.
So,
I didn't get COVID from him.
nah, like, okay, so he's keeping an appropriate distance too. So I'm thinking, what I normally think, which is bad things, right? But I'm doing what I do. And he asks me, like, just as a non sequitur, you're probably a little too young to have seen Billy play. It's like, yep, missed me completely. And I said, I'm fortunate enough to get to see Adrian Peterson play, right? I got to see AD play. And he launches into, who didn't get his due? It's Gaddis. It's like, yeah, man, Mike Gaddis came along with Barry Sanders. I mean, what you gonna do? Like, that's your counterpart. And he's like, the guy before him, right? The guy before him at Oklahoma State, Charlie Crawford. Now, he could play. He had some problems. He's from Bristow, and that's how we get into Bristow. And then Joey Crawford, he's from Bristow too. And I said, I'll have to ask Coach Jones about it. You talk to Coach Jones every day. Are you on the radio? Yes, sir, I'm on the radio. And he goes into the radio. And I forget how you came up, Kate, but it was weird because it was like, I have a friend who's from Bristow, I think it was, because he kept bringing up the Crawfords. And he's like, my daughter Kate? And I did not pounce on this, and I was like, wait a second. And that was that. And then your dad told me another joke.
Oh, what joke did he tell
By the
you?
way, he was out the door. He was out the door, and he came back in and said, I have to tell you a joke because I tell jokes. That's exactly how I said, I'm here for it. Got in an argument with my wife, and she wanted to make amends. So she asked me, what could she do to make amends? I said, I want something in the driveway that goes 0 to 200 miles an hour and lickety split. And she said, okay. And I went outside, and there was a scale. That was the joke he told me.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
There we go.
That was the joke he told me. Yeah, it was the joke he told me.
So-
all while wearing his mask, and I was.
And social distancing.
And so, I mean, he's telling this joke from 8 feet, so he's shouting it. It's lovely, man. Lovely, man.
This is like the most dads. You would have described this man to me, not saying that it was my dad, and I would have been like, no, that was my dad. Let me call him. Like, no. So my dad calls me this morning, and he says, well, first of all, he says, darling, darling, I can't iMessage your sister, and because his iMessage, it's telling me I need to set up iMessage, but it's set up. He launches into this whole thing, and so we go through all of the tech, like, phone tech stuff, and then he said, by the way, I met somebody yesterday, and I was like, what? How?
Ow.
Like, how? And then he says, well, you see, I was at Billy Sims standing in line, and I get to talking to this guy, and I get to talking to him a little bit, and then he launches into the full story about Coach Jones. I'm like, you met RJ, like, repeatedly, but he's not stopping in his story. He's like, and then he says, and I had to tell him a joke. I had to tell him a joke. And I was just, it's like, this is how did this happen? It's so weird. Anyway, I'm glad that you enjoyed. He enjoyed his time with you, RJ, and from the sound of it, you enjoyed your time with him.
Hey, look, it's not often that like that the older white man chats me up about football. Like, it just doesn't happen. As a person I've never met, never seen, doesn't happen. So that was pleasant. That was very cool.
Well, I'm glad.
And that is his MO. He drops the the joke bomb right as he's leaving, so that you don't have time to recover and retaliate before he's actually gone. You're just left with that, and you just have to deal with it.
No,
And like a ghost, he was gone.
well, he's really weird in his delivery, and I wonder if like part of my delivery is from him, because he will do that. He'll just like, we'll just be standing somewhere, and there'll be somebody there, and it's almost like he psychically knows what he should talk to them about. Like, it's really strange. But he just like abruptly like he just jumps into it, and then like you have this conversation with him, and then he just follows up with that like bomb, like Tyler was saying. He just like drops it and leaves. I can't imagine what it's like to talk to him as a stranger. It's just
No, it was not as it was not as hostage taking as it can seem. Because he really is giving and taking in a way that most strangers just aren't capable. Most strangers are either gonna do a lot of taking or a lot of giving, right? That was an exchange. We were talking, and I asked him a question, he answered the question, right? He asked me a question, I answered the question. That was cool about it. So it does not feel menacing at all. It doesn't feel like you're being hotboxed, because like that's usually what happens if somebody is talking to me about football or picks up something about radio or whatever, is I end up getting hotboxed. Yo, who's committing when? What do you think about this person's injury? Do you think that Lincoln's finally going to get it together this year? Because I really think that it is. I think it's going to happen. I think that, Rattler's going to be the dude, and I'm basically taking in all of their opinions because I get that, right? I understand where they're coming from. It's an opportunity to talk at somebody who knows something about the thing that you like, and we all do that.
Yeah, you're like a sports senator.
So, right. So with that, I was pleasantly surprised that your dad actually wanted to talk. He didn't want to talk at me. We were both standing there waiting on food, and he just wanted to chat. That was cool.
Gloria.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, man.
Glad to hear he was wearing his mask from 6 feet away.
It's a sight that I have not seen in Tulsa. No disrespect to Dad, but like being just an older man with a mask on. Just hadn't seen a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
Because,
Costco apparently throws masks at people if they're trying to walk in without one.
Well, yeah, which I love. And then people are like, this is the way that this is getting turned, by the way, right? My body, my choice. Does that work for you now, Democrats? And I'm going, I can't wait to, dude, no, that's not, it's not what, no. Or making fun of somebody who's got a mask on. That's happened to me. And I'm going, yo, man. At this point, I got to assume I'm asymptomatic, man. I'm doing this for you.
Well, like with me, because if like, I don't know, I'm a bit of I work regularly in a medical clinic, you guys know, so I see people like, so I could have it. I see like tons of people who are sometimes sick. Like, so for me wearing a mask, that's really protecting the general public. If I'm out in public anyway. So.
Did see a guy with a face hugger mask.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was great.
Face hugger.
Clever. I mean, like you say, like this mask is literally, I'm doing this for you, right? And like that's the whole purpose of a mask. If somebody goes out and says, I'm not wearing this mask because it's not cool enough, or everything's a hoax, it's one of those that, cool, I'm wearing a mask for you. So instead of it being a protection a symbol, it's an attack symbol. I'm like, I don't know why there are sides to the aisle on this one.
Yeah, how is this a division?
What has happened?
Oh, can we regress in topic just 1 second and then come back to this? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Did my dad ask you to call him G?
No.
Okay.
No.
Our last name is really difficult for people to say for some reason, and so my dad became G.
Are they heathens, Kate?
No, that's the weird part.
Do they worship at the devil's pentagram?
No,
No.
that is the weirdest part about the whole thing is like when people ask me how to spell it, I say like in the Bible, just assuming.
Gomorrah.
But that's exactly what it is. 'Cause
Yeah.
That means that if they are not heathens, that means if you go to their church,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying it different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but no, and people will literally say things like, "What?" I'm like, like the book in the Bible. What? And
I'm sorry, Kate.
I'm not.
Gomorrah is not a book in the Bible.
Yes, it is.
You're wrong.
Yes, it is.
You can write that chapter.
Not. You're not reading
Gomorrah
my.
3:11.
You're not reading my Bible.
Oh,
okay?
Genesis.
I got the
Genesis.
text for
I
you.
read that one. I read that one.
No,
That's the
it's
one about the
Genesis.
man and the woman and the fruit.
Genesis.
That you're right. You're right, Tyler. Genesis.
Sorry. We can go back to talking about masks now. I just was curious if because he usually is like, you can call me G, and he likes to drop that too, like
I've never called him G. I couldn't do it.
Gaviticus.
Yes, Leviticus.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy.
When I was a girl, they used to call my sisters and I little G's.
Gathu, Gark, and Gon.
Yeah, I love it.
Robert.
So going
Gluck.
back to masks,
Yeah.
a wise man once told me that people have never been more ready to break social contracts than right now, and that was actually a couple years ago. And that man,
Oh man. One other thing I did want to bring up in this chat is the idea of cable television and where it's going. Because like Comedy Central has been basically a failed empire for 15 years. Basically since Key and Peele showed that they get more viewership on each individual sketch on YouTube than they do on their show, right?
oh, that stings.
Well, it's true, right?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I was thinking from a Comedy Central standpoint, it's like, ooh, we're bad.
Right. But when you think about what Comedy Central gave us, and it includes Dave Chappelle, Colbert, Peele, Key, Jon Stewart, John Oliver, Jimmy Kimmel, Samantha Bee, Ilana Glazer, Abby Jacobson, Amy Sedaris, Amy Schumer, yada, yada, yada. I mean, yes, queen! I mean, it keeps going, right? And now it feels like they're about to die. Like, because there's the merger with Viacom CBS, but there's also the idea that they don't need the sort of tastemakers that say HBO does, right? I still am waiting on HBO to fall off, and they haven't yet because Richard Plepler, I felt like, just made some tremendously savvy moves with the shows that they chose to pick up and put on television. Because like right now, it's real difficult to find an absolute dud on HBO. Like you can find something that's not doing well, but you can't find something that should be canceled because they're usually pretty good about doing that themselves, right? And yet with Comedy Central, it almost feels like what Forbes is now. It's just a name, right? Or Business Insider. It's just a name. And all the stuff that's in it, with, very few exceptions, is trash. And now that we don't have really like appointment television like that, especially with live sports kind of being hit or miss, what else is going to go up in smoke? What else is going to get exposed?
You mean like J. Crew and J.C. Penney and?
Yeah, that's right. J.C. Penney did go under. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, like those two.
Penny's been going under for like 15 years.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So like, obviously it and Comedy Central have
bankruptcy numbers I didn't know you could hit.
Right. So like, are these just the things that were always going to happen, or are they precursors to more stuff happening?
I mean, when Netflix first turned to streaming, like they started their streaming service, it felt like this is gonna be the thing that most people want eventually, and like the appointment television, like at least a certain amount of people do not want what cable is currently offering. They want all on demand all the time, and that person was Tyler. And a lot of other people who are also not named Tyler. But yeah, and it's just even people who thought like appointment television was okay, they started thinking it's like, well, you know what? Do we need appointment television? Like, you can just make your own appointment, but if you miss an appointment, you don't have to like, well, that episode's gone forever, or until syndication or whatever rerun you can find, and being able to dictate your own schedule, like after literally decades now of having cable, like I'm getting my mom to cut the cord because the price isn't worth what you get. They try to charge extra for all of the, hey, no, you can watch the show whenever you want, but only if you record it first, or the premium channels. I think it was like Blockbuster was the it's like you see it's like, oh, that's going down, that's old, that's an old model now, and you see some companies moving into streaming in a big way, but I wish they wouldn't bring some of the extra baggage, and I'm looking at you, Disney Plus, with weekly releases of episodes.
That's actually been called for by most of the showrunners. Like that's not an executive. That's Jon Favreau going, no, I want the numbers. I want the appointment television of it. I mean, Jason Bateman did this
case,
with
I'm
Ozarks.
Looking at you, Jon Favreau.
Right.
Hating this.
But I mean,
hating this so much.
But your point is taken. Like Harris X is a research firm. 74% of Americans now subscribe to a streaming service. Roughly 2.5 million in the first 3 months of the year bought into streaming services, not unlike your mom. And like we all logged about 40 hours of streaming service TV time in March. I can't wait to see what that number is for April.
Oh goodness, that's gonna be
So yeah, I just ugh. Speaking of which, after the podcast, not on the podcast, but after the podcast, watch the thing that I dropped.
Will do. Not blare it over speakers with a hot mic.
I mean, you can. I mean, you can do it, but then I'd cut the stream.
Go for full volume.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see. And I guess I can look at it in a way that for like an 8-episode show, it just releases 2 months later for me. If I don't feel like keeping the appointment, it will in fact still be there.
Unless it's a Marvel Netflix feature.
Ooh, let's pour one out for.
Well, come and think of it, Punisher's still there. Jessica Jones is still there. Luke Cage, whether I like it or not, is still there.
Did Daredevil go away, or is it still?
I think it's still there because Iron Fist is.
I wonder if they get to own those.
I hope so.
Just keep those. Yeah.
I hope so.
As a Netflix show.
Yeah.
If streaming services start cycling out their own generated content, I will probably get mad and stop giving them money.
Well, especially with the Marvel stuff, because I feel like they put the axe on that when people weren't really ready for it. Like, I feel like it was, obviously there were some misses, but I think overall there was support and like a desire for that to keep going. And so if the quote unquote market creates a situation where I can't go back and watch that incredible 20-minute, like one shot Daredevil fight scene from the beginning of scene 2 or of season 2, like that sucks.
Yeah.
I also think that people are also under the impression that if a show is well liked, that it has to continue, and that is absolutely not the case. So whenever all the talks were going on about Disney buying Fox, people were like, "Oh, well, that's cool. I guess we could get a lot of the heroes that we wanted to show up in the film universe back." Without realizing that if that's the case, then Disney has no reason to talk to Netflix ever again, especially like as they were formulating Disney Plus. I'm like, yeah, of course they shut the door on that.
To be honest, I don't have any loyalty from the point of view of, oh, well, Netflix has to make a Marvel show. Like if Disney Plus wants to go all in on making different Marvel cinematic universes even, I'm here for it. But I just don't want the stuff that's made that's good to go away.
Well,
right. and Disney is notorious for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
makes me super nervous with all of the stuff they own, because out of the vault, it's like you can die in a fire about that vault. especially in the digital age, of
Well,
your own stuff.
I mean, and you're making a really good point there, in that Disney's also, I mean, it just saw its credit score rating go down, right, for the first time like in decades, and it's losing money hand over fist. So they're probably going to lean on that model even more now. Just try to make their stuff a little bit less available and more scarce to try to drive up the price.
Yeah, I understood libraries changing for stuff that people didn't own and just leased, like Netflix and Amazon. But like, man, with stuff you make, playing that game with your own stuff, like, that'll get me to unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a really old trick.
Mm.
And when people used to do that, countries' economies used to tank. Like I'm thinking about Italy in the 30s.
Like they care about the country's economy.
Well, I'm just saying that it's not a new thing, and so we can trace it back to like that way of thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
And that it has a lot of unintended consequences.
Right.
Maybe it's safer than it used to be because things are decentralized, but people should be careful with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Given its history.
Yeah. Pay attention to history. There we go. Pay attention to history, everybody.
Title of the podcast. We're going to stop there, hard stop, because one, camera's getting warm, and two, we're coming up on the 1 o'clock. We got like 3 minutes. Thank y'all. This is fun. I think we covered way more than we usually do. Like, maybe that was just because of the pace. I'm not sure.
If you were entertained, it was only a coincidence. Not here for your entertainment.
We saw Max and Marvel today.
Yeah.
We did.
Also,
And like, subscribe.
shout out to all of us. This channel has picked up 2,000 subscribers since we last podcasted.
Yeah.
So apparently,
Our Mother's Day.
yeah. All right, we're gonna stop streaming now. Bye.
Take care.